state organization. And we will be looking at the role of HR in a company, whether the company has a specific HR department or not. How companies work, what drives companies, and we will also look at some historical aspects of our economy and why the role of HR is changing and is more important than ever. When we talk about human resources, we basically talk about people. And therefore, human resources are an essential part of any kind of business or organization, be it a company, be it a school, be it a state organization. And we will be looking at the role of HR in a company, what drives companies, and we will also look at some historical aspects of our economy and why the role of HR is changing and is more important than ever. But in this course, I would not like to go too much into technical details, but I would like to show you why human resources is important in organizations. Let's go back in time. A long time ago, before the Industrial Revolution, people produced commodities. So basically we had farmers, we had craftsmen who produced things and they traded them. At this time, human resources was not really necessary. Later on, with the Industrial Revolutions, these basic goods were turned into goods and then sold on the market. And for the first time in history, we had organizations with more than, say, 10 people or 50 people working in the same company. And these people had to be managed. And at the time there was no business school, there was no management school, there was no such thing as human resources, there were no books available, no teachers, no management gurus. And what did managers or entrepreneurs at the time take as an example? It was basically the army. So a lot of organizations at that time were organized just like the army, with a lot of hierarchical levels and with command and control management style. So you follow the orders or you're fired. Another thing can be said about the time of the Industrial Revolution. People were important. Without people, all these technological advances wouldn't have been possible. But each and every individual was not as important as they are today, because what produced the goods were the machines. And if people didn't want to do the work, they could easily be replaced by other people. Later on, namely in the 20th century, our economies turned more and more into service economies. And there, providing a service to the customer was something that can only be done by people. So human resources or personnel management was much more important at that time. At the end of the 20th century, we turned more and more into a knowledge economy. So it was not goods or services that were produced, but what mattered was grey matter. It was the revolution of the information technology. So skills were needed, and to find these skills we needed professionals, human resources professionals, and to develop these skills we needed training and all the other things we have in HR. Today, people speak about a new kind of development, which is, okay, we're moving into what is called, what Joseph Pine, for example, calls the experience economy. So services today are more and more commoditized or banalisé, as you say in French, because if you only sell a good service, what matters to customers is price. But if you really create an experience, that is something you can charge more money for, and that makes customers happy. Think of the Apple Store, for instance. This is not just a place where you can buy equipment for your Mac, but it is a whole buying experience, and so people who work there are not just normal salespeople. So they need the skills, they need the expertise, they also need the culture to work in this particular place. So just to sum up, the 2 or 3 points I try to make are the following. First, human resources is a domain which is important to any kind of organization. Secondly, human resources as we know them today is something that was developed quite recently, and that people were managed in different ways, in different periods of time, depending on the state of the economy they were in.